Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lost Sheep Podcast. I'm Nazario Pangallo here with
Evan Abear
and Cole Bissett.
And welcome back, folks, to episode number 44. If you were on YouTube and confused why there's no episode 43, just don't worry about that. Just move on. You know, life is too short to worry about where episode 43 is. So, welcome to episode 44. It does exist on audio.
Yeah, listen on audio.
Go to the audio if you care that much, if you're that loyal of a listener. But we are back. If you are wondering why we didn't post last week and why there was only one vlog on the channel, on the Instagram, we were on spring break. One of us did a wonderful job of showing what he did for spring break. Two of us did not. So we're going to talk about our spring break because you guys didn't get to see it. Evan, how was your spring break, sir?
Well, so for starters, I think we should discuss that we are ostracizing Cole now because he has the passing mic because of the vlog idea. I feel like that's a fair assertion. Had a great spring break. Did not vlog. I thought it was very funny. I texted Nazario. In our group chat, Cole texted us, and he after he posted the vlog to the Instagram, and he was like, "Guys, remember to vlog." And I texted Nazario, and I'm pretty sure I said something like, "Do you have anything vloggable?" And he was like, "No." But I had a wonderful spring break. I went home with Caroline Sims, my beautiful, wonderful girlfriend. We got to just hang out at home. I'm from Houston, Texas, so it is the home of the single largest rodeo in the United States. I love the Houston rodeo so much. So we
sounds vloggable. Continue.
Semi. It was very loud there. But got to see the Houston rodeo and Bailey Zimmerman perform. He was all right. But yeah, also got to drive back a car, which is huge for you two. Not having to chauffeur me around places anymore. I know you're excited. Cole, shoot us out. What did you do for spring break?
So, every one of you who follows the podcast and follows our Instagram page knows what I did for my spring break.
Are they going to be able to hear if you hold some mic down here?
Is this a problem? Does this work? Hello? No, you're audio. Okay, that's sick. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So, yeah, if you follow our Instagram page, if you follow, I posted on there. I vlogged. And they said that they don't have anything vloggable, but I've come to realize that there are many things. Nazario went to Buc-ee's. He went to a museum. Evan got a car. It would have been great for when Evan got his car to be like, "Hey guys, this is my spring break. I got to get my car to go back to campus." And so what makes this even more wonderful is the vlog wasn't even my idea to begin with.
I would just like to say some of us at this table, one of us particularly, said that they weren't going to complain for Lent. And I hear just a wee bit of that happening right now.
Protestations. Yes, protestation.
I don't know if it's complaining is more just frustration.
Also, I gave up Instagram for Lent, so I feel like posting to Reels is almost.
But here's the thing.
That's almost breaking the fast.
But maybe, are you the one posting it? No, that's the real question. So, I'm in charge of the Reels, and I will say the reminder was sent how many times on our group chat?
I will say a couple.
Yeah, a couple times.
At least she's persistent at worst.
So yeah, but anyways, back to my spring break. We went to the Grand Canyon. I went with some guys from Bama, Focus Missionaries, and then we drove to Texas A&M. And met up with some guys there, which doesn't make any sense while we stopped there on the way up because it is 2 hours out of the way. So we added, yes, we drove, by the way. It was a long drive, 27 hours. But it was worth it. We spent 2 days.
One way, 27 hours.
Yeah, one way. Yeah, one way. So like 54 total, which was an experience. But yeah, we drove. It took 2 days to get there. We got there late. Second night, and we stayed for 2 full days, which is not a lot considering we drove 4 days. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It doesn't even seem real sitting there staring at it. I feel like I was looking at a green screen. One of the guys made the comment, in Despicable Me, when Vector changes the pyramids and makes them like inflatables. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Like I felt like they were like big inflatables that like just didn't exist. And so that was a lot of fun. It definitely like the entirety of the time I was there when we were doing our hikes, especially on the way up, it was like I kept thinking praying through suffering, which sounds crazy, but like it like when we had that as our PPP, practical prayer practice, it was like it didn't really click that I never really got a good opportunity to use it other than when I was sick. And so like throughout the start of our hike up, we prayed the rosary like 20 minutes, and we're like, Hail Mary, full of grace, and we can barely say it, but we're doing it. And it was like, I don't know, but it was so peaceful just to have that ability to do that. So that was great. But yeah, so that's my spring break in a nutshell.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are having to pass around the microphone. And this, guys, could be the last episode that we have to do this. We have gotten, a little bit of motivation to really step up our audio and visual. And so, we're kind of getting our roles figured out. We are going back to using my computer, which the computer is just a little bit better than Cole's. And the system on there, we've figured it out a little bit more. And then Cole has become our designated Reels person. He's going to be the full social media manager. So I think that'll be really good to have him over there. And then we're going to be going out and getting some upgraded equipment. So we're really excited for, the next couple of weeks going forward with the podcast to finish out this semester while we're together, and then going into the summer to keep things, rocking and rolling. We're pretty excited about that. But do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, just that being said, be patient if we're if we're rocky, or if the audio is we're finagling with it, or the video or anything like that is odd. Just be patient with us that we're trying to figure out the best how to do this the best, and the best setup and stuff like that. So just be patient.
And then for my spring break, I just went back home. I was there for like a little over a week. Got to hang out with the family and my girlfriend over the weekend, and then played some golf. Went to Buc-ee's, which was pretty nice. As Cole, he's patronizing us a little bit.
He is counting.
How many things could have been vlogged. And then after Buc-ee's on Thursday, I went down to the University of Kentucky in Lexington for a sports psychology conference, and was able to learn a lot of things for some presentations, and then was able to network with people from Kentucky. They have a graduate program in sports psychology. I will say it is my number one choice of where I want to go. Hopefully, if we get in, they have a 8% acceptance rate, so pray for your boy. But for me, Wednesday we talked about we're doing Ramadan fast, and I had picked Wednesday was a day that I had a free day during spring break, and I was like, oh, I want to take my grandparents down to Buc-ee's, and I was super excited about it. I was like, dang, I'm going to eat great on this Wednesday. And then after I had planned it out on Tuesday night, I realized, shoot, Wednesday is Ramadan fast. I'm not even going to be able to eat when I go down. So I drive them down, we go there, and I can't eat anything. And it was one of my favorite experiences of spring break, being able to just take joy in other people's joy, and just being happy to be able to take them there, to have them experience it, and to be experiencing something good through them. But I will say I did bring a Texas cheesesteak burrito back for dinner that night. So I eventually got something from Buc-ee's. I will say it was not my favorite thing that I've ever gotten from Buc-ee's, but it's still pretty good because it is Buc-ee's.
Yeah. So getting a little more into our intro, 3 weeks into Lent now, right? 3-ish, 2.5 weeks into Lent. How are Lenten practices going? Just like a check-in, I think mine are going great. You talked about the Ramadan fasts. It's been difficult. We obviously, Cole and I partook in the Solemnity of St. Joseph. We fasted until 4 o'clock. Yeah, and then decided to break our fast because it was a solemnity, no other reason.
Yeah.
But fasts are going good. Lent is really hitting this year, I think, a little bit more. It feels to me very much penitent. I think this is one of the first times that I've really gone in on Lent hard. Feels very penitent, feels very fulfilling. How about you two?
Yeah, for me, I think this is the hardest Lenten challenge I've ever had to do. Because I like to I like to complain a lot. It's something that it's a bad habit. Definitely trying to work on it. And so I remember while I was at the Grand Canyon, I was texting Nazario and I said, this is really inconvenient timing that I am hiking from the bottom to the top of the Grand Canyon and can't complain because it's Lent right now. And so the entire way up, anytime I complained, I just said a glory be. And I was like, I don't need to do that. Like, let's start over, reset. And so every time, I would say this is definitely the one that I've had to challenge myself with the most, that I've caught myself slipping up and trying to get back with. So that one's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, and I definitely see the benefits of it. Like, there is a lot of fruit from this Lenten sacrifice, and so I'm loving that. Like Nazario said, the Ramadan fast, our Lenten challenge on Wednesday from sunrise to sunset, we only are allowed to have water, and so that one's been a bit more tough. For some reason, when I came back from the Grand Canyon, I just couldn't stop eating, and so I've literally eaten pretty much from the moment I got back from the Grand Canyon to this point. And so Wednesday was a challenge. The solemnity of St. Joseph couldn't have come at a more convenient time for me. So it was food tasted lovely at 4:00 that day. But yeah, Lent's been going great. So back to you, Evan.
Funny enough, I'm gonna toss it to Nazario, but Tom, I felt really bad. Thomas Hughes, the fourth guy who's doing this with us, texted in our group chat an apple. He just put the words an apple, and then the next text was, that's what I broke my fast with. And I realized in my head that not a single one of us had seen him all day, and in the group chat it's just lingering from Wednesday. No other person has said another thing, just the last text is an apple.
Well, the funniest thing is from the garden.
Cole Cole just attempted to talk without a microphone. So
Give him the mic.
I was gonna say it's just funny because that's what Adam broke too in the garden. So I was like, I don't know, correlation was just kind of funny there. Apple.
But yeah, for me, I've enjoyed the Ramadan fast on Wednesday so far. I did not break for the solemnity with Thomas. I waited until 7:00 when the sun actually went down. And I couldn't believe them that they did this. Evan just walks in at 4:00 just munching on some fries. He was so delighted and to have some French fries. So, which I respect. French fries can be pretty good. I would say for me, one of mine is acts of service. But obviously, we should always be doing acts of service. But more importantly for it is to do it with like a positive, loving mindset instead of being like, oh, I have to do this or whatever. And so I get challenged. Consistently when I have to go clean the sink again at our house, and have to remember, this is a good thing, even though it might be the third thing that Cole has put in the sink without cleaning any of it, which, that could just be me describing. I'm not sure that's an exact example of exact thing that happened, just providing an example, but to just remember, like, hey, this is like a good thing, like to the positive mindset of it, which has actually been really nice to do it that way instead of just, I have to do this. So.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to defend myself in anything. Do you know how to fix a dishwasher that does not dry dishes fast? So the reason we have, well, yeah, but the reason we have stuff in our sink, and the reason I ever put stuff in our sink is because we have to open our dishwasher in the morning and let it like air dry, because our dishes are like soaking wet. They do not dry in there, and so we literally are. Like,
do you have the dry cycle selected?
I think so. I've done it. Yeah. It just does not work.
You should definitely check.
Should we do
dry cycle.
We can submit a work order? Do you think they could fix it?
Yes. How long has this been going on?
Oh
my god!
So
for reference, it's a little tidbit for our next little segment. It's March, so that's like 9 months you've had a dishwasher that doesn't work.
For the next little segment, March, let's hit that segment at the end because.
Well, I'm gonna do 3 minutes. Let's do 3 minutes as our wrap up to the intro. 3 minutes.
Okay.
March Madness. Cue the mouth trumpets. Cue the air horns and the craziness. Nazario Pangallo's season of the year. It is March. So.
3 minutes, March Madness.
Champion and upset of the bracket. And, since I know Nazario gave up betting, I'm just going to say, Caroline, her family, has decided they do a bracket pool every year. It's a $20 buy-in. There is 21 people in the pool.
$420 on the line for those non-math majors.
Dude, it's low-key like heavy. First place gets 70%, second place gets 20%, third place gets 10%. So I am sweating my bracket the hardest I have ever in my life. But tell me your champion. Tell me your upset or your surprise of March.
So thankfully for us that we're recording this on Friday morning, we've seen a day of action. And to be honest, it was a pretty non-chaotic Thursday, first day of the tournament. So get a little bit of ease picking through that. And then Friday, we still have 16 more first-round games to go. And my champion is Alabama. It is 100% biased. I'm very hopeful. I'm a very optimistic person, so I think we're going to win. But, like, rationally, I don't know. I really don't know who's going to win. There's a lot of fascinating things because Florida's playing the best of anyone in the entire tournament coming in. Auburn has been magnificent all year. Houston has just been the under-radar dominant team, 19-1 in the Big 12.
Guys, I had to look up SIU Edwardsville. I had to look up where that was.
Yeah, Houston committed a crime yesterday against them. It was abysmal. So they're unbelievable. And then you've got some 2 seeds that are nice, and then some dark horses that can make runs. But upset of the day coming up here on Friday. I am going to go not an upset today happening on Friday, but tomorrow, Saturday's action in the round of 32. I think either Creighton or Gonzaga is going to pull off a shocker and knock out one of the 1 seeds tomorrow. Creighton plays Auburn, and then Gonzaga plays Houston. Gonzaga, I know they're an 8 seed. They're a phenomenal team. If you guys know anything about basketball rankings, they're top 10 in the KenPom rankings, which is like efficiency numbers. They're a great team. They were up, I believe, 33-5 yesterday against Georgia in the first round. So that is going to be a great game. And I think Ryan Kalkbrenner, he's a 7-footer. He's going to be going up against Janai Broom of Creighton. That's going to be a battle tomorrow. So both those games, I think one of the 8 or 9 seeds is going to pull off an upset, knock out a 1 seed before the opening weekend is even over.
We're in what segment are we? We're at the East, right?
Yes.
We're in the East. So I think champ comes out of the East. I think it's one of Duke or Alabama. As my dark horse segment, proven winner. I know you're going to love this because he is a true blue blood. Rick Pitino. Cannot bet against that guy. Holy cow. Shout out University of Nebraska at Omaha. That was a heck of a game they played, but St. John's just looks like a different team. If they play every game like they play the second half, they're going to be tough to beat. Upset for the day, I think, comes Colorado State. I think it's another 5-12. We saw McNeese is up.
I will say, Mr. Hebert, Colorado State is favored by the sports books, but for casual fans out there, 12 over 5.
So yeah, theoretically, all right. Theoretically, they could be favored. They might be favored by a majority of sports books. However, 5-12 ranking as set by the NCAA standard. A spacing of 5 on any seats is an upset. So I take Colorado State today. Let's have another 5-12. McNeese, have a day.
So we don't have a ton of time. We're actually over, so I'm just gonna run through mine really quickly. Champion. I've got 3 brackets, but I think I have a main one. Florida. I think is gonna win the whole thing. Upset. I chose Vandy over St. Mary's. I think it's gonna happen. Give me the state of Tennessee, let's go. So I actually have Tennessee going pretty far too. So I'm really rooting for the state of Tennessee in this tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, my bracket's holding up pretty strong still at the moment. Max 1870, but we will see what happens with that. All right. We are gonna move into our quote section because I've only got 18 more minutes to be here, and then I got to dip. So, more than that, maybe 25.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
So. I'll intro the quote, because why not? The quote for this week is, "If you measure your life by what you own, the cavern of your heart will never be filled." And that's by James D. Maxson. I'm going to read it one more time. "If you measure your life by what you own, the cavern of your heart will never be filled." James D. Maxson. And so I'm going to let one of you guys start because I want to look up a word and look up the definition of a word and then swing the question to y'all to spark some conversation like I always do. So here you go.
Yeah, I feel like I've just become the inaugural talker on the quote section. Yeah, I like this quote. I think a lot of times we get stuck in, the rat race. We were even just talking about it, the other day, right? With, what are we doing? What are we getting? What are we graduation and going forward and jobs and all this stuff, right? And it's really, really easy to get caught up in that headspace of I need to be going next, stuff like that. And obviously we can look at 1,000 people. I'm gonna toss Johnny Manziel out there as A1 because I am from Texas, and so growing up when I was in middle school, Johnny Manziel was like the guy. But he's a great example of where so obsessed with what you own and what you're doing and living this life of vanity and dissipation, where it can get you. And I love I think he has a short autobiography on
Netflix.
Yeah,
the Netflix documentary.
Yeah, on kind of like his time in college and coming out of that and where he's at now, because where he's at now is much better. And it's a very interesting story. But yeah, I think it goes back to where you search for fulfillment is key to how fulfilled you are going to be in life. If you're looking for fulfillment through material things or things that are fleeting, then your fulfillment is going to be fleeting. But if you're looking for fulfillment in everlasting things, and in fulfillment of yourself and your soul and your mind, then those things are naturally going to bear more fruit for you.
So for me, I immediately when I saw this quote, I went back to a previous podcast we had, where I quoted someone. I don't remember who said this, but it's the only thing in this world that you own is your soul. Which I think is a very, very true statement. And so I want to ask you guys, again, I'm the definition guy on the podcast. I state a word and then say the definition, and then I challenge you guys with some questions, and then we have a free-flowing conversation. So what is the word belongings mean to you guys?
The belongings, very basic level, just what the clothes that are on your body at the moment are your belongings. I would say just the few clothes that you have, and also give your phone as one of your belongings nowadays. And then your wallet and your keys. I would say basic belongings right there. Those are just examples of what I think of as belongings. Does that answer your question, Mr. Bissett?
Sure. I think, funny enough, because I've never thought about this, but I think in my head I have a different category of belongings versus like owned items.
Okay.
Because I feel like belongings has a sort of like personal attachment. Like I would say like, yes, like I own my shampoo, or like, my toiletries, and like my bedding and stuff like that, my, things like that. But I don't really think they like belong to me. Their use, and I don't associate them with my personality. But like, my this is a weird one, my internet experience, like, how I choose to use my phone and my computer, my schoolwork, my apparel, my soccer cleats, my climbing materials, my things that connect with my personality, my desk pets. Y'all have been in my room and seen my desk pet collection.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, right? Stuff that I would consider has some sort of cue into who I am as a person, but also things that I put stock in and that I would be disappointed in losing or disappointed in, and go out and try to find them. I would consider as things that belong to me, that are truly like, a part of my possessions.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to get at here, which you already started this argument, is what's the difference between belonging and owning? Because they are two different words. And so I also want to ask, do y'all agree with that quote?
Two different words.
Yeah. Like, do y'all agree with the quote that not that quote, the quote that I said that's relating? We're relating to this quote. We're talking about it right now.
Can you say it again?
The only thing in this world that you own is your soul. Own. And that's why I wanted to start with the distinction between belonging and own. So, yeah, go for it.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I mean, I think I own a few different things at the moment. So
I think so. I was thinking about this morning. I think our a lot of times, like we very closely align on these arguments. I mean, there are exceptions, but I think I'm just gonna start lying.
You're gonna start lying just to play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I mean,
yeah.
I would say that
that's a joke. I'm not gonna start lying.
I would say for own, I think I agree with you as I think about it a little bit, because all the things that we own right now, the computer, the phone, I say that because I'm looking right at them like while I'm recording, so it's very evident. Our backpack, our jacket, everything. Those things, whether we have them and whether we don't, is very much out of our control. One day I could be walking and my phone could fall out of my pocket and completely shatter, right? Like out of the control. Our house could be set on fire, or like last week we had tornadoes that came through around Tuscaloosa. Our houses could have been annihilated. Everything could have been gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
We own those things, but they're completely out of our control. They could be ours for a moment and then not ours for a second. But our soul, that's always going to be ours. That can never be taken for us. And as I think about this, it goes into like the free will of making our decision on how we choose to live our eternal life. Whether it be like, are we going to choose with what we own, our soul, to go to hell for forever, or are we going to choose for our soul to go to heaven? It's our decision. God does everything that he can to offer us salvation. We have to choose it. And so we have to choose because we own our own soul, and only we have ownership over that and have control over that. And it's the only thing we have full control over. So I would say to that.
I am not lying, for the record. I very much disagree.
Really?
I very much disagree.
Oh.
So I think ownership is a human thing. So I want to take the faith spin on this one, which, of course, I am. I think ownership is a human thing, and I think belonging is a intrinsic thing, right? So when we talk about, and this is going to be a metaphor, but when we talk about slavery, right? Slavery was the ownership of another human, right? However, as a faith, we would never condemn that, right? Like, you just can't own another person, right? And like you're talking about, that ownership is temporary, right? However, that ownership versus belonging dichotomy becomes apparently clear, but because there is no time, there is no situation in which one person belongs to another person, right? There's no time unless it is us to God. We belong to God. He created us in our entirety, soul, body, everything, right? And I think breaking it down into marriage is the only time I could think of like belonging to another person, but I think it's a little different because, we talk about.
What would you say to belonging to your parents? What would you say to belonging to your parents?
I think it's more of an obedience thing, right? Again, like you can make you rely on your parents at a very young age, right? Like, when you're a kid, you can't do anything. You rely on your parents. And I just had this conversation the other day, like there is a certain point in your life where your parents do not control you. They do not own you. They do not determine what you do with your life. And, this is very relevant to me because as I'm graduating and going to master's school and stuff like this, I have to make my own decisions. And inevitably, some of those decisions are going to be against what my parents may think is best, right? And that's okay. But do I belong to my parents at this point in my life? No. But so what I was going to say is ownership is a human perspective, right? So when we talk about like I own a car, okay. Well, what do you own about the car?
The ability to drive it.
Well, yeah. So the ability to drive it, but you own the title, right? So like the title, the deed on a house, right? These things say you own whatever it is. for your phone, right? You pay the bill, you get a phone, you have a proof of purchase, you have a receipt, correct? It's like you own that phone. Whether it breaks or not, that phone, that item is still in your possession. Yes, the usage of it, the function of that has invariably changed, but you still own that thing. You still own that item, right? You can. It's yours fully to use for whatever purpose that you want, right? However, things that we cannot own, things that we cannot even, that do not belong to us, we cannot use for ourselves, right? Or we're supposed to not use, right? Because when you talk about like other people, never are you supposed to use other people, right? You cannot use other people. And so you cannot own other people because you cannot use them. And again, do they belong to you? Right? No. Because how could one person belong intrinsically to another? Or how could anything, by virtue of who we are, belong to us? Even our souls. Our souls are not given, we do not win our souls, right, by virtue of who we are. We win them, air quotes, I'm air quoting for those audio people. We win them by virtue of being children of God as a free gift. A guy at Search gave a really good talk about how God gives us free gifts. I wonder who that was. It was me. But do we really, does anything belong to us versus own by virtue of who we are? I could argue for no, that we have no belongings.
Really? Okay. So I guess my take on this is, I get what you're saying. I liked my quote that I brought up, but I wanted to reword it.
You want to modulate the quote?
I'm going to modulate the quote.
Okay.
We've done this before. Remember when we did this and I posted it? What was it? That was a good one.
We do have to credit, though, that this is no longer the quote from that man. He cannot remember.
I cannot remember my name. So, man, whoever that is, your recognition is here until I change it. So I want to use the exact same quote. We own nothing. Nothing in this world belongs to us except our soul. I think our soul does belong to us. God gave it to us. He gave us the ability to have a soul. I think to say that it doesn't belong to us essentially does kind of remove the free will aspect of it out of it, right? Like the fact that, so like you said, with belongingness, I feel like it definitely does, like it's more of that intrinsic, more of that physical connection, more of the, I feel like it's got more depth to it as a word, as a whole. And when I think of own, right, I think of like, what? I was looking up the dictionary words on this one, and I'm not a fan of either of them. I think they're pretty bland. So I decided, what were you gonna say?
No. Okay. No, it's just they're bland words.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking if we talked about it, like, I think there's also different definitions for these words depending on like I think ownership, like you said, is a human aspect. Like I think that's a creation of mankind, right? It's this idea that we can fully control something on earth, which we can't, right? So it's this human construct, right? Like you brought up slavery. Like the idea that we can fully own another human is physically actually impossible. We cannot. Physically, morally, spiritually, we cannot do that. And so I think it's a human construct. I think it's something society created. I think that word is a creation of humanity. Now, I think belongingness, like you said, it's intrinsic. Like it from the beginning, when we were created, we were given a soul, right? And I think that soul, the fact that we can say it belongs to us shows the personal connection we have with it. And I think it shows the ability for us to have that free will because of that personal connection, right? Did you have anything to say on that? Well, you had said something to say earlier, but here you go.
To not belabor the point and to continue this discussion, I'm going to move on to a different part of the quote because I think it's important to talk about as well. So I'm going to read the quote one more time. If you measure life by what you own, the cavern of your heart will never be filled. So I'm going to very much talk about the cavern of your heart that will never be filled, and I'm probably not going to take that long to talk about, but just wanted to hammer the point that we are created by God. God only knows what truly fills our heart. He made our longings in our heart, and those longings are for him. And that is why you see so many people out in the world, as you talked about with Johnny Mansell, trying to chase so many things to fill that hole. You hear so many people, why do they do such a thing? I'm trying to fill the void in my heart. I'm trying to fill the hole that is there. And all these things that we try to do that the world tries to tell us is going to fill that hole just make the hole even bigger. And they just keep people coming back once and again, over and over again, trying to fill that hole. And they just passed the microphone. I don't know what's going on here. But yes, the world, the things that it tries to tell us to fill the cavern of our heart, just create an even bigger cavern. Turn it into maybe the Grand Canyon, Cole. It can go from just a small little cavern into the Grand Canyon when we continue to listen to the things of the world. But we have one thing that truly can turn this Grand Canyon of a cavern into just a flat, Kansas cornfield. Is it Kansas cornfield? Is that right? I think Kansas has cornfields.
Texas does. Yeah.
It's flat, just flatness. Turning the Grand Canyon into flat. God fills those longings. Fills, what does it say on the quote? The cavern fills the caverns, and we have to remember that. And I think I'm lucky enough and just thankful that somehow in my mind, when I'm going throughout my day, I'm able to realize how something that I'm thinking about or longing for, how it's truly a longing for God. Whether it is, it's a gloomy day. I'm not liking this gloomy day. I want to see something. I want to see the sun, right? Well, I want to see beauty. I want to see good looking to the eyes. Well, what is true beauty? God is true beauty. And so being able to realize that, I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm hungry. I want to taste something. I want to be filled. I want to be filled by God. So being able to, in your daily life, remember, wow, this is truly a longing for God. And then when you are going through those moments in your day, yes, go eat. Don't starve yourself. But that's a great time to pray. And it's one of my favorite times to pray, to be like, I'm hungry or I'm seeking beauty. Just turn to God. Like, wow, God, I'm longing for you. And I know that you are going to fill whatever cavern is in my heart right now. And that's what he wants to do. And he wants to come in to those holes and fill the nitty-gritty of it, and to just raise it up so it's flat, and so that we don't have those longings, because they are satisfied by the one thing that can truly satisfy, and that is God.
Yeah. So the reason I brought up belongingness and ownership is, I like to, when we get these quotes, I want to reorder it towards the positive, right? If you measure your life by what you own, the cavern of your heart will never be filled. Well, how will it be filled? That's what my first question is. How will it be filled? And so immediately, 2 words: belongingness, ownership. What's the difference? Why is ownership what's not going to help fulfill our souls? And so this is why I wanted to establish, that our soul, God, belongs to us, right? We were created for love. We were created for God. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. He is our life, right there. And so I think if we measure our life by what belongs to us, God, our soul, then the cavern of our heart will inevitably be filled, right? Every day we wake up and we challenge ourselves, we have this podcast, right? Because we want to improve our relationship with Christ. So every day we wake up and we say, what can I do better? How can I improve my relationship with what belongs to me, this personal attachment, right? And so I think if we change this completely and flip it towards the positive side, if we measure our life by what belongs to us, the cavern of our heart will be filled, right? Because inevitably we're going to end up in heaven, right? That's the end goal of our life. And so, yeah, that's why I threw that out there at the beginning, because I wanted to say, well, then for the people that have this question, right? We're talking about what's not going to fill us. I get it. Yeah. Nothing in this world, physical items, anything, all these other, things that are just temporary, not permanent things, are not going to fill us. This is why I love to ask the question, who am I to be loved by you, right? We have tons of different identities in our lives. I'm a soccer player, guitar player, I'm y'all's friend, I'm all of these things, right? But is any of that permanent? No. Well, what is permanent? Who am I to be loved by you? I'm a son, and I'm a son of Christ. That's what it is. And so that's where my mind went with this whole quote, is I just tried to loop it back towards that question. Do y'all have any thoughts on that?
I think belonging and community are what pulls this all together. Whether that be the communion of saints in the church, we're all one in the church, and that is a beautiful thing that we belong to. And because what do we belong to as the communion of saints and the church? The body of Christ. We belong to that, and that is what we're called to be. And we're called to that belonging, and we're called to belong to God, as you said. So I think belonging is essential to filling the cavern of your heart. And I think if we don't belong to anything, that is when we become truly isolated, truly lonely, and just really desperate in this life to try to throw whatever we can into the cavern.
Yeah, last thought, and let's go to personal prayer practice so we can wrap up. But next week, I want to talk about natural desire, because you cued in a little bit, but part of looking at our vocation and looking at what we want in life, things that are going to fulfill us, is like God has given us this desire for good, and so we're trying to find ways to fill that. So, all right, so we will come back to final thoughts at the very end. But for now, personal prayer practice for this week. Nazario had a suggestion, which we'll get into in just a second. However, so for one of my Bible study fasts for this month of March, which again is a hard one because of where we are, my Bible study leader has decided that for March, in accordance with our voting, we are going to give up sports on Friday. So watching sports, talking about, well, not really talking about sports, but watching sports, constantly checking fantasy or scoreboards or stuff like that, right? The goal is to be present, to be, in community. Now, today, this is extremely difficult because the Alabama men's basketball team plays at 11:40. 11:40? Okay. 11:40.
Luckily for Evan, they're playing 15 seed Robert Morris, so we should be okay.
Yeah, we should be okay. But, not the best, obviously. Can't sweat out my Colorado State. But yeah, it's very will honing. Very will honing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult for Evan and his Bible study. I will say Cole and I are not participating in this. I'm not sure that I could, but that I think goes into the fact that it would be a great fast.
I think you should make him next year. Just make him.
They
not
might
watch
make me
any
next
March
year,
Madness.
but I am not agreeing to this year. Maybe next year. But that is a great fast, especially during the month of March. That's probably the most difficult month to pick because March Madness is so just fascinating to watch. And there's 16 games on today that Evan is going to be missing. So I will be praying for you. Proud of you. That's truly something incredible, because at least for me, because for sports are very important. My personal prayer practice is something that most churches, I'm not sure if every Catholic church does this during Lent, but it is the Stations of the Cross, and they're doing it every Friday here at St. Francis at 5:30. So if you're around Alabama, I will be there starting in 2 weeks. I will be there for probably the rest of Lent for the Stations of the Cross. Evan probably will be there the next 2 Fridays.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yes, it's a
know.
great Lent practice to go through.
Just toss me under the bus.
Go for the Stations of the Cross. I am saying they didn't put it together. I guess that there will be March Madness games Friday and next Friday.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Nazario's foregoing Stations of the Cross for March Madness.
That is correct. I will be there in 2 weeks. I will see you guys there. Cole, will you be participating in any of these personal prayer practice, or what do you think of them?
I love the Stations of the Cross. I think it's one of the most beautiful things that we get to do during Lent. I'm messing something up here.
And just to mention, last spring break, Cole and I went to Stations of the Cross with my mom at a church in Florida. Do you remember that? It was very, very cool. It was outside, and they had basically them like up on. If you don't know what the Stations of the Cross, like there's an image of one of the stations of Jesus' Passion, and they had them like up on stands, and we walked around like the outside courtyard, and it's Florida, so it's beautiful, and it was like 70 degrees, and it was amazing. It was a great experience, and they had like one of the most profound images of the cross that I've ever seen there in the middle, Christ up on the cross, and just like his body kind of like limp, like just wow. It was very, very cool to see, and just remembering that experience with Cole. Cole, do you want the mic back?
Yes, I'm trying to see if I have a picture of it because it really is. It's one of the most beautiful crucifixes I think I've seen.
We can
to this day.
We can also toss it up like right here.
Yeah, we'll throw it up there if we find the picture. But yeah, I remember going to that last year, and I don't know what was. So it was outside, which is something I haven't done in a minute because we have it back at home. We have outside Stations of the Cross, which is awesome. I think that kind of adds a different level to it because you're essentially like, I think it makes you kind of feel like you're walking that walk with Christ. You are moving around. You are truly kind of present in the situation and of the stations. And so it's really beautiful. I'm not sure if I'll be there tonight. I kind of forgot that it was happening tonight. I think I might go. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm going to make it to some of them if not tonight. So I'm really pumped for that. Thanks for reminding me. Totally forgot that was during Lent, but I love it. Yeah. Other little plugs about Lent. If you have the opportunity, shout out future PPP. The Triduum will be at the final end of Lent, which is it's actually considered one whole Mass. I don't know if y'all knew that, but it's a continuation of the Mass each day. So Holy Thursday is the start, Good Friday is the middle, and Easter Vigil closes it out. It's not actually Easter Sunday. Easter Vigil closes it out at that Mass. So I think that's what makes it so like moving, is you literally like for 3 days you are experiencing the same Mass and it is being continued. That's why we have the silence during that time. It's a continuation of that reverence of the Mass, which I didn't know until recently. I just found that out and I thought it was really cool. So it kind of added a different level of like gravity to those 3 days. I have experienced it twice and still like it is like almost bring me to tears moving. Like it is so beautiful and it is such an important part of the Catholic faith that I wish everybody could experience at least once, especially the Easter Vigil Mass. It's really neat. And yes, all of these masses are longer than the usual, but it is so worth going. So yeah.
If you don't have anything left, with big shoes to follow from last week, our shepherd of the week being Mikel Arteta last week, and I was very excited for him. Nazario, would you like to
Cole Bissett has to make a exit, ladies and gentlemen. I actually don't know where he's going, but he's going to tell you.
So I have office hours this week for a class that I am currently struggling in, so prayers for me. But I do have to attend these office hours for improvement in my grading. So thank you guys so much for having me.
First and foremost, a student.
But,
But
boys, y'all can take it away. Good luck.
Alrighty, well, we're going to move on to our shepherd of the week as Cole
should we do
departs.
A cut here where it's just like he's here and then it's just empty and he's just gone.
He's just gone. So adios to Cole Bissett. If you guys see his chair over here, that's where he used to sit.
Plague victim. Okay, so as we were saying, would you like to introduce I think a very popular author, but go ahead and tell us who it is, a little bit about him, and why you picked him this week.
All right, so my shepherd of the week is Matthew Kelly, the founder and owner, actually not about owning, but the owner of Dynamic Catholic. If you guys have ever heard of this, it is a wonderful Catholic resource. He publishes multiple books. If you ever read Holy Moments by Matthew Kelly, it's a book that's been around a lot of parishes recently. The 33 Days to Eucharistic Glory. It's like a Eucharistic retreat. He's wrote that book that's been around parishes as well. And then the one that I read most notably that I remember is the Rocking Chair Prophet, which was a very interesting book that he wrote as well. And then Cole Bissett's out of here. But the reason that I chose Matthew Kelly for Shepherd of the Week this week is because he and his company send out basically newsletters every day that you can get, and every day they have a reflection. He does a daily reflection on the gospel readings. Then on Thursdays is when he usually does like a reflection on the readings on Sunday for the upcoming Mass. And so those have been a great experience doing throughout Lent, but most notably during Lent, he's been doing a Divine Mercy, like 33 Days to Divine Mercy retreat. And that has been awesome, and he's been doing videos every day on it. And this week, the one that I remember, there's two that I remember. Thank you, Lord, for helping me to remember both of those, because I couldn't remember one of them at the moment. But one of them was St. Pope John Paul II. He was giving a speech. I do not remember when it was. Obviously, you could look this up once I tell you what it is. But basically, this man attempted to assassinate JP2. I do not remember when this was exactly, but he fired 4 bullets. 3 of them hit JP2, and another one hit this woman in the chest who had spent so much time just trying to save up and to be able to go see JP2, and this is what ends up happening to her. Thankfully, both of them survive. Evan actually has it looked up. It was in 1981 he was shot in St. Peter's Square. But the story is that St. Pope John Paul II actually went and saw this man, his attempted assassinator, in prison, and he showed that man incredible mercy, and it was really helped JP2 to spread the message of mercy to the world, because this guy tried to kill him, and what is he doing? He's showing him incredible mercy, which is like the theme of this entire journey of Lent, of Divine Mercy, for Matthew Kelly and what he's been sending out. And then the other one was this man, I think he was in seminary, had been hearing about an incredible priest who had just been amazing at spiritual direction with people. And this priest the seminarian had built up this other priest, just otherworldly. He thought he was like this amazing human being. And he walks into this meeting with him, and the guy is just sitting with his eyes closed, the priest, and the guy who's supposed to be this incredible, wonderful priest just starts listing his sins that he has committed in his life. And he literally lists almost every sin in his entire life. And the seminary guy is like, oh my gosh, this dude's done this, he's done this, he's done this. And at the end of the session, he says, now you can leave, go pray, and see if you want to come back for me again. And it was just this incredible moment of the seminarian realizing, wow, I built this man up so much, and he knew that I needed to know that he was a real human being, and that he had been shown incredible mercy, and that he was humble, and he knew that how he had failed. And so these incredible stories and these incredible videos that we've seen from the Dynamic Catholic that have been coming out every single day, I'm very excited to be able to hopefully listen to mine today. But Matthew Kelly's been doing that. He's been trying that. My mom is the one that got me into getting those emails, so that has been awesome. I know that was a little bit long, Evan, but there you go.
No, yeah, I was going to say a few times over the years, my parents back home has had Matthew Kelly books. I was looking for Resisting Happiness is the one that I remember. It's a bright yellow cover, but as our Lent book. But yeah, there's an incredible photo that I always come back to that I love of, and I'm sure you've seen it, of JP2 in the jail, in prison, forgiving, talking to the guy who shot him.
Do you know whether the guy eventually converted, or is it just...
I have
because I don't know about that, which would be awesome.
But it's this incredible photo, and he's just holding the guy's hands, and the guy just looks like he's sobbing. Just an incredible act of mercy and of forgiveness. Yeah.
I think this is a great segue into the final thoughts, or my final thoughts for this podcast. So we're talking about mercy and divine mercy, and then we go to our quote, and it says, if you measure your life by what you own, the cavern of your heart will never be filled. And I talked a lot about, trying to fill the cavern of the heart. And if you ever feel, or if you've gone through life trying to fill the cavern of your heart with the things of the world, or just things that are not from God, and you've realized your mistakes, but you still can't get away from it, or you think that you're not good enough for God to forgive you, or that he won't love you, or anything like that, bring this to you for Matthew Kelly and the Divine Mercy stories that we are telling you. Just remember and to realize, and just take to heart how incredible God's mercy is for you. And just, I remember Father Mugaga, our priest here, every time you go to confession, you know what he's going to say, but it hits every single time. And it's just, God is always ready to forgive you. He's waiting for you to run back to him. He says it every time. And you always remember it, and it's so true, because you think before you go there, you're like, man, like, I really have to go back to confession again, like, I really messed up again, is God gonna love me, is he gonna forgive me? And then Father Mugaga, you can tell when he says this that he is smiling, and you have a very personal experience with him smiling, and like when a face-to-face confession that he's told us that story, and you can just feel Father Mugaga just smiling at you and loving you, and like it's okay. God still love you. Like, he is waiting for you and to come back to him and to just offer you his free gift of mercy. So if you are ever down in the dumps, worrying about anything, to just run back to him and to know he is trying to forgive you for all of the bad times. And he already has done what was needed to be done to forgive you. And that is the cross. That is the passion. And he is ready to fill the cavern of your heart. So those are my final thoughts to you, Evan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hit every base. That was awesome. Yeah. I wanna find a quote that relates to natural desire. That's a huge cool thing we can talk about next week. Maybe we can go looking for that. But don't really have a lot of huge things on that besides what you said. Obviously, yeah. Search for the truth in life. We talk about good, true, and beautiful a lot, right? Are we searching for the good, true, and beautiful? Seek out those things in your life, and they're gonna lead you to Christ. Besides that, nothing. As we talked about, just to recap, Shepherd of the Week, Matthew Kelly. Thank you for bringing him. He's a fantastic author. You can check out his books and his materials at
Dynamic Catholic
and Matthew Kelly
and his
website. Yeah. You want to wrap us up? Announcements?
Thank you all for watching. Remember that we have bracelets. My family's going to kill me if I don't bring them back for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a bracelet, those are for free. If you want to get our T-shirts, we have the website for those. I believe $18, $22, something like that. There will be a link in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
do you think Cole is going to listen this far?
I hope so. Why?
Have you ordered yours?
I ordered my shirt.
Your shirt?
I have not ordered my shirt yet.
Yeah, we should do that this week.
We need to order our shirts. But thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys all for supporting. We will be back next week. We are continually trying to improve for you guys. So if you have anything you'd like us to talk about, any quotes that you think are awesome, any questions, or just general comments about the podcast, we would love to hear about that. You can reach out to us on so many ways, whether it be through YouTube comments, whether it be through just texting us, DMing us. We have Instagram. We have YouTube. As we said, I believe that is everywhere that we are. Instagram, YouTube, social media wise. So yeah, please reach out to us, or if you know us personally, we would love to hear from you guys. But there's only the two of us here now. Cole Bissett would be here. But thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week. God bless.